And hello, and welcome to Paranormal Files. I am your host, Daniel Cahoon, and you have landed on Paranormal Files number 6, Monsters and Mayhem. Before we get started with that, I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. First of all, if there is anything you would like to know about Magical Journey, any social media, any ways of contacting me, there's some really good videos, guest appearance videos that I've posted on there. Go to magicaljourney.com. That is my website. It is your one-stop shop for all things Magical Journey in the brand. You can also find as well a place to buy some merch and, like I said, be able to contact me and all that kind of good stuff. All my stuff is on there. Secondly, Facebook is a really great source. You've got 2 pages, Magical Journey, the page, which gives you all of the information on current postings, anything that's coming up that you may want to check out. All that stuff is there. The page for the Paranormal Files, which is the same thing. It's all of the latest stuff that's coming up, things that shows that are on now, things that will be going on in the future. Now, if you want a little bit more, join the Magical Journey group on Facebook, because there, not only will you get updates on postings of shows that are current and future, but you also get extra tidbits like articles and photos and possibly videos of topics that we're covering currently. So the group Magical Journey, the Facebook page Magical Journey, and the Facebook page Paranormal Files, all good resources. Also, you can find me on TikTok. That is my kind of behind the scenes slash personal journal as a podcaster. A lot of good information on there that I share from time to time. And you can find me on X and now also on Insta as well. So those are all great sources of places to find me at. If you really want to help me go and grow, I would strongly suggest sending me a donation through my PayPal account, which is on my link tree there. All funding will go to the show. It will go to better equipment, subscriptions to programs and so forth that I use that keep the show running and keep it looking sharp and smooth and pro. So there's that. Now, let's get into today's topic. So recently I started watching the video of the newscast as it was unfolding of the JFK assassination, when Walter Cronkite did the break-in, the news break-in briefing on CBS to report that there had been an assassination attempt on JFK. So I started watching that, and it was kind of long, and they were going back and forth because they were getting conflicting reports and all that. So it was a lot of questions. They were breaking into television programming to do this. It was all done live. And there was just it was a lot. It was a lot to take in, visually and otherwise. So while I was doing this, I started thinking about the actual assassination attempt itself and all of the things related to it and all the things that went on around it. And one of the things that, was part of all of that culture was the why. Why was he assassinated? Who did it? What was the point of any of it? So as I began to question myself about that, I began to seek answers to all these questions, and I began to try to make sense of the chaos, because there was a lot of chaos involved there. It really came to my mind, you know, a lot of monsters involved in this, a lot of mayhem involved in this. what was the point? What was the outcome here? Why was it important to assassinate a president? You know, well, let's look at some of the things surrounding this. Okay, so JFK, John F. Kennedy, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, was, you know, among other things, was talking about the possibility of blowing the whistle on things like UFO cover-ups, Project Blue Book, that kind of thing. And people did not like that. The government did not want that to happen. We are not here for that. And so there was that. The CIA was a little concerned there. There was a lot of people concerned about what he might reveal in the process of unloading all this on people. Majestic 12, that sort of thing. What was it that he was going to spill to the American people? And was it information that would set off a series of things that they didn't want to deal with? Was this part of the ongoing culture and energy of the time? So in all of that, this is kind of where I was camping at. This was the place where I was kind of going, yeah, let's look at some of this. And one of the things I want to say, at the time that all this was going on, one of the things that was very important, an event that was extremely controversial at the time, was over in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, with the Mothman sightings. And there was an incredibly large amount of stuff happening revolving around that. There were UFO reports. There was a lot of paranormal phenomenon going on there. A lot of stuff going on that was just made people go, wow, what are we up against here? And then there were these really over the top sightings of this moth-like creature who stood 7-8 feet tall with menacing glowing red eyes. And the ongoing mayhem that was created from all of these sightings, masses of people reporting this just horrific creature, that was stalking them, that was, haunting them in some cases. And what was it? What was going on there? And then there came reports of some of this person or creature who identified itself or himself as Indrid Cold. And Indrid Cold was also known as the Smiling Man. He had an unusually large humanoid smile on his face, and very disturbing, and apparently spoke to people with telepathy. His mouth did not open or move when he spoke to people. It was very, very frightening. And one of the first people, John Kill, reported this incident of Indrid Cold, and the first encounter was by Woodrow Dillinger. Derbyshire. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He was one of the first people to come in contact with this Indrid Cold. And there was a large, there was actually a reporter that went out to do an interview with a man who claimed to have had contact with Indrid Cold and had a conversation with him. And it was a very candid, it was about an hour-long interview, I think, where this guy who had nothing to gain by telling the story at all. Actually, he had more to lose than to gain. Um, proceeded to tell his story of meeting Indrid Cold and what all ensued from that meeting. It was a very unusual experience, to say the least. Again, a lot of mayhem revolved around that meeting, that story. And eventually it cost the man a lot, including his job, his reputation, and so forth. So, you know, when we think about all of the things that were happening in Point Pleasant at that time, especially, like I said, the UFO sightings, the cryptid sightings. There was a lot of different cryptids that were reported, not just the Mothman at that time period. So all of that going on, again, it raised eyebrows. What is this man getting ready to say to the American people? And the Mothman sightings accumulated into the final chapter where the Silver Bridge collapsed, killing a lot of people. It was like around 50 people or so on the Silver Bridge that Christmas Eve night who perished when the bridge collapsed. And of course, Mothman was no longer after that. There were no more reports of the Mothman after the Silver Bridge collapse. So a lot of people felt like the Mothman was the harbinger of doom, kind of letting people know, hey, this is about to happen. Something very bad is about to happen in your area, in your neighborhood, with your people. And that's pretty much where they camped with that. They believed that the Mothman was bringing this message of doom to the people. He was prophesying it, if you will. So, as we contemplate what must have been going through the minds of the people who were part of the government at that time, when Kennedy was announcing what he was doing, when he was saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do, we must ask ourselves, to what extent were they willing to change history and not allow him to spill the beans on things that were going on? To what degree would they go to, and where was their stopping point be? If you look at video of the actual assassination, there were 3 bullets at least that impacted the president. The first one came from the back, and he went forward. He tilted forward. There was another one that came from the direction of the front, assumingly from the front seat, it appeared to be, where he went back. And then he slumped into Mrs. Kennedy's lap, and that's when she said, oh no. And of course, there's that one scene where you see her trying to crawl out of the back of the vehicle, and Secret Service is pushing her back in. It's all very chaotic, very questioning, very discerning to see that video. But yes, that video is one that stuck in my mind for a long time after I saw it. One of the Secret Service people in the president's car was struck and killed, according to some reports, during the assassination attempt. And one of them that was in the front seat reportedly pulled a gun out of his jacket pocket and aimed it at the president and shot him. So there's a lot of things that occurred reportedly occurred during in this assassination attempt that just are shocking and don't ring true to being possible, but they were very possible. They did happen. It is on film. Again, a lot of mayhem with all these monsters. So, in all of this, I was asking myself, what, what are, what is this really all about? What is the Mothman? What is Bigfoot? What is the Dogman situation? Goat Man, all of these cryptids. What is it really all about? Are they descendants of the Nephilim? Are they some creature that have been here for millennial that we just don't know about? They've been here for all this time, and we just don't know anything about them really. They're kind of cryptic and mystical. Are they something that we should even know? Do we really need to know them? Is it something that's going to be detrimental to the existence of the human race? Or is it something that we should know and is going to be helpful at some point to the human race? These are all questions we have to address when it comes to the concept of the cryptids. The Mothman. There's a lot of questions whether the Mothman is a misidentified giant owl. In places like Chicago, Indiana, a lot of places in the Midwest, there's been these reports, strange reports of giant owls, some of them like 10 feet tall or taller, that people have seen. And when they describe them, it sounds similar to the Mothman. So is that what we're dealing with? Are we dealing with some kind of giant owls that get misrepresented, misreported as something that they are not? It could be. Either way, there's a lot of mayhem going on with these monsters. The Dogman. The Dogman is reported continuously in the Land Between the Lakes and other venues that are famous for having Dogman sightings. There's quite a few of those. There's a lot of very scary reports of such as the massacre at the LBL that supposedly happened in 1982, where an entire family was unalived by a dogman, according to that story. It's been told many, many, many times in many, many, many places by many different types of people and by many different people. It's a very well known, very well rehearsed story. There are people who have come forward in the last few years who were policemen at the time. They were active policemen who are retired now, or policemen who are not active anymore, that have come forward and said, yes, this really happened. I was there. I saw it. I witnessed it. I was on scene. It was part of my investigation. This was real. This family was real. The attack was real. There are, and it's natural for us to have some skepticism by a story so horrific and so sensationalized, but at the same time, how much skepticism can one person have? Is it possible that this thing, this dog man, exists? If it is, how much of a danger is it to human beings? If this thing exists, what is its purpose? Where did it come from? How long has it been here? These questions are questions that we do not know the answer to. These are great mysteries surrounding these cryptids. Um, Martin Grove, a retired police officer, had a very, very disturbing encounter with two dogmen, that ended in the possible unaliving of a firefighter there in the LBL at one time. And his story, and I've watched Martin give his, tell his story during a conference, and it's very alarming, it's very disturbing, it's very emotionally impacted. um, Martin has a lot of emotion around this event, and it comes out very much in the conversation when he's recanting the story. There's a lot of grief and a lot of self questioning and so forth behind that experience from Martin, and he shares it all in his testimony of his experience with the dog man. And the story never changes. I mean, this is it's consistent all the way around. So we know there's truth to it. As horrific as it is very terrifying. And the fact that he still goes to the LBL and still investigates this thing is mind-boggling to me, because I would never step foot back in that place after experiencing what he experienced, but the man does somehow. I don't get it. I wouldn't do it. It's not comfortable to me. Not my place to be. But again, what is the dog man? What is his purpose? What is the point of this creature? How should it impact, or does it impact my life? And I think these are questions we should all be asking ourselves on a daily basis. The earth spirits, fairies, gnomes, that sort of thing, all come together under one profound category of cryptids. And while there's much that is said about the fairies, the fae, sorry, excuse me, there's much that we don't know about them. There's many things that many questions still revolve around the fae and what they are, what their point is. Do they serve a purpose? And we don't know these things yet. There's mysteries about them that we just can't know at this point. The elementals, earth, fire, air, and water. What are they? What is their point? What is their function in our world now at this time? Do they bring something to the table for mankind that we could use or learn from or need? All very important questions that there are zero answers for many times when it comes to the elementals and the fae. And at the end of the day, we don't know, and we may not ever know. And how do you engage with that? How do you entertain that? What do we need to do as people, as creatures, fellow creatures on the earth? What do we need to do to engage with that? Or should we worry about it? Those are all important questions. Yeah. Mayhem, mayhem, mayhem. These monsters bring a lot of it with them. And this is where my mind has been over the last few days as I've contemplated, you know, this very dark point in history of the Kennedy assassination, is why, what the point of it was, what the outcome of it means. Was President Kennedy taken out by his own? And what was the benefit of doing that? Things that we may not ever know. It's very well known that Kennedy's brain is missing. Like the actual container, the brain is missing. It was in a museum. I think it was in the Smithsonian. And they just can't find it anymore. So there's this whole mystery of where is Kennedy's brain? What happened to it? And we may never know. We may never know the answer to many of these questions. At the end of the day, is it important to know these things? At the end of the day, is it going to make our world any better or any safer or any more enriched by knowing the answer to any of these questions? Is it going to change how we view our lives? Or is it even necessary to know the answers to these questions? Again, we may never know. It's another question. Anyway, so there's a lot of talk today, I know, and it's all good. It's all about understanding the mayhem of the monsters in our lives and the myths in our lives and how these things have impacted our history and continue to impact our world. So think about it. Ask yourself the questions and investigate. And as always, may your journey always be magical.